All right, let's get the microphone check out of the way here. We still have some people showing up. This stream is a little bit earlier today, but we are going to get this one out of the way as I do have some things coming up in a little bit. Go ahead and let me know if you can hear me across the various chats, that being Twitch, X, and YouTube. We're going to get rolling here in a little over a minute. All right. Thank you, Baba, for letting me know that the audio is coming through okay, or the voice portion of the audio is coming through okay. We're going to get started here in just a minute. I do have some more people from some different communities starting to pile into the various streams here. We've got quite a few. I'm waiting for the dashboard here on my side to update, and then we're going to get rolling. Let's see. Got it. Yep. All right. So let me go ahead and we're just going to get started. This is being recorded, so you're more than welcome to go back and watch this later if you want to revisit, if you're already here, some of the items that I'm going to be talking about today. And then, of course, I do want to welcome the various ordinals communities that are showing up with our regular TA live stream participants. And that would be, of course, New Bitcoin Order. We have some Nat Monkeys here. We have Pepe Ordinals Maxis in the house. We also have some Sigmas in here as well. And those are some of the primary Ordinals communities that I hang out in. Excellent communities, great developers, great teams, and of course, almost all of the participants in those various communities are absolutely awesome. So, yes, and when I say almost, I am referring to some of you in my own server that are also a part of these communities as well. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in, and we're going to get rolling. Hello, and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is May 15th, 2024, and we are looking at Bitcoin, of course, and evaluating something that I just talked about in yesterday's recorded video, the not so quick take TA video that was posted to X and YouTube yesterday. I do suggest that you give that a watch, as you know, many of the things that I have been talking about for quite a while, and of course in that video as well, are starting to come to fruition. So we're going to go ahead and just revisit a little bit of what I talked about yesterday. We're going to turn off the Landy bands here, which of course you can find in the video link in the description down below on YouTube. You can also find it pinned to my profile or in the header profile on my X account there. You can get the Landy bands for free. And all you got to do is follow the link and add the indicator to your favorites. It is not currently publicly listed, so I get this question a lot. Why isn't it publicly listed? Because the indicator is still being built. There's going to be some cool new features that are going to be added that I have been working on behind the scenes here, including multi-time frame levels, courtesy of Mr. JR Doing. And then, of course, we have some setup stuff, some setup signals that I'm going to start adding to that as well. I am refining how those signals work, but it's going to be pretty cool. All right, so let's see. Where were we when we started yesterday's video? We were on a naked chart. And the main reason why is because, well, we do have a downtrending line here. One of the few times that you'll see me using a trend line. But I did note that even if you're going to use a trend line, for Bitcoin to break this particular downtrend, we need to see a close on the daily at minimum above this high right here at 65,523 on spot price. Now, Bitcoin has had a nice push up in today's price action. One of the big areas that I had mentioned that I want to call out that Bitcoin needs to close above by end of day today to set a closing low. Well, that would be this area right here. That would be the high actually from Monday of this low side consolidation. So we see the swing down. We saw the lower high come in at that 65,523. We saw the swing low being set here and confirmed at 60,150, but Bitcoin found resistance at the top side of these candles around that 63.5. Now, if Bitcoin can close above there, we have a locked-in swing low and a locked-in higher low and a close. This would be the very first piece that we need to see in order to, well, start to see a bit of a trend shift on the daily. And in this case, the next portion that we need to see in order to confirm that Bitcoin is starting to change trend would be a closure on the daily above 65,523. Now, I do need to call this out because Bitcoin hasn't yet broken this downtrend just yet. We now need to see it hold above that 60,150 area. So that swing low needs to be held from here on out. It can be swung below. You don't want to see closes below. If we do see closes below, it's very likely that Bitcoin's going to play back to the actual lower low of this particular range. You can call it a deviation. I mean, we've seen Bitcoin kind of holding up in and around this order block candle back here. And I do want to adjust these lines just to show you how Bitcoin has kind of played in this range on the lows ever since we saw this daily order block candle come in on February 29th. Of course, this being a leap year. That is one of the reasons why we have a 29th day in February. And just go ahead and observe how Bitcoin has reacted in this area. We're even going to highlight this one and go ahead and draw a rectangle around this, or a fill tool is how I'm using the rectangle tool right now. But you can see every time that Bitcoin has gotten into this particular order block zone, it has, run the lows of it on a wick basis. And then we got a 3-candle deviation below it, right back in, finding support on it now in this previous higher low structure that now is very likely confirmed unless Bitcoin dumps back down below 63,675 as it stands right now. But it could even close inside of this order block wick high at 63,600, 63,500. Still looking fine as long as it closes above the Monday wick high, which did come in at 63,456 and 18 cents there. So this is looking very encouraging for the bulls right now. And I did mention this in yesterday's video as well. And, that is that we are in a, large consolidation. And I know that it's very, very exciting. Right now, Bitcoin is breaking out to the upside here in the lower term timeframes, and it's showing the potential for more even on the daily and some higher term timeframes. But I want to let you know that because it's still in a trend shift posture, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's, green candles to the moon and beyond, to Mars, of course, right away. So things are likely going to take time. We will see, of course, if Bitcoin begins to break above this 65,523 and get a trend break, we're likely to see a very nice move up to the next big area of interest, that being this high here at around 67,200 to 300. Now here on spot, this is actually coming in at around 67,272. So any kind of close above 67,272 would be a very good thing for the bulls, especially if it started to do this coming into the end of the week this week. Now, that being said, there's still quite a bit of resistance overhead here. So I do want to get into this a little bit further with this analysis here. So if we go ahead and actually let's get rid of yesterday's stuff, and we'll revisit this in a moment, but let's see, we've even got a trend line there. What's the trend line? That's the downtrend line. Ha ha ha. All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of this, and let's go ahead and throw on the monthly and weekly support and resistance areas. So you can see that Bitcoin has previously found this April of 2021 monthly swing high at $65,000. Very heavy resistance. Getting wicks inside of it, a little bit of a deviation lower high inside of it as well. Just above it there to that 67,200 to 300 area, and then finding it as a primary resistance. So a recovery above $65,000, very encouraging for the bulls, even if it does not begin to break that 65.5 area. It's likely going to test it. And if it does get a closure above, then we can start marking up to around that 67,200 to 300. Above there, I would be looking right to around $68,000 to $70,000, right by this November of 2021 all-time high. Of course, that's a prior cycle all-time high. And this is going to be a probably pretty heavy area of resistance. If it does start to breach above there, you can see just looking at the top side structure over here where we were seeing Bitcoin reject, it was right around the highs, right? Right around the close open highs, a little bit of a front run of the actual close open all-time high there at 73,135. We had the higher high wick and technically a higher high close, but no close above. I do want to point this out because this was something that I was watching very, very carefully when Bitcoin was up here. There was no daily close above that 71,800 region to actually start breaking out to go test the all-time high and higher. So this is going to be the next primary area of resistance. So above 65.5, we're looking to 67.2 to 3. Above there, around $68,000 to $70,000, somewhere around this prior cycle high at $69,000. And then above there, I would be looking in the low $70,000 region between 70 and around 73, where this wick high came in just shy of $73,000. If we do see that breached above, probably likely already running the all-time high, but we do need to see closures above there to get a clean breakout. We might even see, some price action above it and closing on a brand new all-time high. If Bitcoin does start to breach that area, that's where I'd be looking for around $75,000 to $78,000 as the primary upside targets to begin with. Let's go ahead and get rid of volume. Let's go ahead and throw on the Bollinger Bands here. And I want you to note where the primary volatility level of resistance is coming in overhead, because it's right in line with this prior wick high, right at around 65,500 or so, slightly above there to be fair at 65,650 or so. If Bitcoin can start to close above there, of course, we would be looking for volatility expansion up to that next high at 67.2 to 3, and then further volatility expansion above there, and especially above the upper third is where we're looking at like this $68,000 to $70,000 region. I would expect this to initially get lower term time frame rejections around these highs, and that's kind of what we're already seeing. We're seeing a little bit of a front run of this 65,500 right now. Bitcoin hanging around that April of 2021 monthly swing high there, currently right at around $65,000 at this particular moment. From the volatility standpoint, if Bitcoin does close above the upper first standard deviation at, this is coming in at around $64,000. And we had mentioned this yesterday, or I had mentioned it yesterday, and some of you have also talked about it in some of the servers, but above $64,000, I'd mentioned that I'd be looking right to 65 to 65.5. And that's exactly what we're seeing in today's price action. Now, this is going to become a bigger deal at the end of today's closure if Bitcoin closes anywhere here or higher for the 2-day, as we do have a 2-day closure coming in. This would also lock in a 2-day higher low on a swing basis, and potentially, if it can close anywhere above $64,000 and the basis band here on the 2-day, that would also be a closing higher low. So very, very encouraging. Of course, same area to take out to the upside to begin to break this downtrend, and that would be around 65,500. The next big area would be just above the upper first standard deviation, which is coming in at $67,000. So you can give it some room up here. Likely to see some short-term time frame resistance around that 67 to 67.2 to 3. And then, of course, above there, you can see the $69,000 prior cycle high to the upper second standard deviation hanging around where? Right around $70,000. So we were just talking about that one. Now, excuse me, I'm going to end up losing my voice today, huh? We can see that anywhere, and this was mentioned in yesterday's video as well, anywhere above on a closing basis by end of the daily today, above 61,234, so basically 61,250 or so, I would give it some room. We will see continuation of the stoke to the upside here with higher lows in place, and likely if we see any closure above $64,000, we're looking at, in fact, above 63,500. I would almost bet you'll see most indicators paint this as a regular bullish divergence, and this is exactly what we've been looking for. I had mentioned a while ago, maybe it was like a week or two ago, for the daily chart, one of the big things that we had wanted to see was not only a nice inverted head and shoulders here on RSI, which is far more playable, by the way, than your actual price action or chart-based inverted and regular head and shoulders here. In this case, we wanted to see the more preferable bullish divergences play out, without making lower lows below this low down here, that 56,500 area. And we have begun to see that. We now have 2 points. This will be the third, in my opinion. It's not showing it in that way, but I would call it a third drive of regular bullish divergence, all coming from within the range. And you might remember me talking about this. The preferable scenario for the bulls would be getting bullish divergence off of this low from Wednesday into Thursday of April of this year. And that is exactly what we're seeing. So that was the more preferable scenario, the more bullish scenario for bullish divergence, or regular bullish divergence in this case. The next thing to look out for, in addition to today's closure, you really want to see it closing above around $64,000. That would be very, very bullish for the 2-day, to at least go and test this lower high at 65.5 and higher to that 67.2 to 3 area. But I would keep an eye on the 3-day, as we did just get the 3-day open, right? So that opened with today's candle. So over the course of the rest of this week heading into Saturday, we want to keep an eye on the 3-day because we have a bullish divergence. Now this is a hidden bull div, but we have a price currently, it's not closed yet, but we want to see it close above the 12-period simple moving average on RSI. We also want to see this lock in its bullish divergence. And of course, we want to see this maintaining its upside posture, which right now, any closes on the 3-day chart in the next 3-day candle above around $60,000 will do that. That will keep this cross to the upside on its initial cross and then complete its fully confirmed cross back to the upside. The next thing to look out for would be today's closure on the 4-day. So the 2-day, 4-day is closing today, and this is getting a very nice drive of hidden bullish divergence potentially on the way here. And one of the big things that you'll notice about the 4-day chart, and I've mentioned this a lot, this is the chart that I've been keeping a very close eye on because of the beautiful compression. Let's go ahead and get rid of the support and resistance here, so it's a little bit cleaner and easier for you to see. We had beautiful, beautiful compression back here. This was in December of 2023, coming into January. Of course, this is when ETFs launched. we saw the big move up, and this was launch day. The big move down to the lower first, nice compression of the Bollinger Bands, and then expansion to the upside. Well, what are we seeing now? This beautiful expansion to the upside, beautiful consolidation here. Nice bounce off of the lower first. Now, to be fair, it did close below the lower first, and the lower second's right there at 59,300 or so. It's actually a little bit above there, 59,440, 450 area. And of course, the basis band is right here in the area that you would need to see the 4-day set a low. You'll notice that this is not the downtrend break. The downtrend break on a close would actually be the 67 2 to 3 on the 4-day chart. So we need to see Bitcoin get above the basis. That would break the daily downtrend. If the 4-day can close above here at 65 523, then of course, to break the downtrend on the 4-day chart, we need to see a closures coming in above that 67 272. So basically 67 300. This is beautiful compression. This is what you want to see in a bull market. Of course, if it was a different structure, just invert it. It's what you want to see for bearishness. This is very, very, very bullish as it stands right now, but you can see it's still in compression. So what we need to see to start getting expansion again is either a closure above the upper first or a closure below the lower first. Now, we already saw initial expansion down on the close open, but Bitcoin bouncing off of this area and mean reverting back to the basis here at around this prior high at that 65.5 area. Well, if Bitcoin can start closing above it and then subsequently close above the upper first, you'll start to see the etchings of expansion on the 4-day. What then needs to happen is a closure above the upper second standard deviation. And this is very, very specific. To get expansion, you need to see a closure above the upper second that also begins to start closing above the all-time high at 73,835. So there's two bits of criteria here. A close above the upper second alone would start to tick expansion up. But in order to confirm expansion, we need to break the overhead resistance. So you need to see overhead resistance broken on expansion to begin the expansion phase on the 4-day. Now, this is coming in at around 72,200. I do suspect if Bitcoin begins to trek up towards it by end of today, you might even see a nice bit of a pinch into, especially if Bitcoin closes around the basis, you might see this compress even further, which is going to be absolutely beautiful looking if it does. And you're likely going to see the upper second somewhere around $70,000, $71,000. If it really starts to go into a deep compression, it could also go sideways. It really depends on where Bitcoin closes end of day today. Anywhere around 65 to 65.5, like right on the basis band on the 4-day here, is going to look really good. Deeper compression. We're looking at higher lows on Bitcoin on the daily. We start breaching the downtrend. Then we've got a higher low in place and then a higher high in place. You've got two of the major first parts of a full trend. You need to see a subsequent higher low on the daily and then higher high, and you've got complete trend. This thing's going to take off to the upside in an aggressive manner. The 4-day will turn to the upside on any closures above 63,730. So basically anywhere above $64,000. We're going to see an initial cross back to the upside for Stoke on the 4-day chart. And this is just the beginning of painting the wider picture that Bitcoin is gearing up for a big leg up to the upside. All right, so just be aware of that. It may not happen all at once, though. We have seen it happen all at once, but it may not, because when looking at the 5-day, we do need to see Bitcoin closing above 66,500, so a breach above that high there that would break the downtrend for some of the longer term timeframes, like the 3-day, 4-day, at around that 67, 300 area. Well, that would start to look really good on the 5-day as well. But you see that the 5-day is in its compression still. Now we have very low BBWP at 3.96 over a 3.57. This does mean that we are seeing price volatility very, very low. And if Bitcoin sets its low here, of course, that would on the 5-day chart come above that 65,523. Of course, that would also set the low on many other time frames as well, and breach the actual high and be a trend break on the highs for the daily and lower term time frames. Well, where are we looking? Upper first, and that's right around 69,500. So fulfilling our area of interest between 68 and $70,000. And then above there, we're looking to the all-time high and higher at around 73,835 to around $75,000. And then you can see the upper third standard deviation does give us, probably a price replacement bias if we do see expansion. That would be expansion and closures on the daily anywhere above the prior all-time high here at 73,835. I would be looking initially to around $75,000 to $78,000, and then possibly a price replace band kind of a scenario by the upper third, which is coming in at around $80,000, and that's where above $78,000 I'm interested in 78 to 80. So you've heard me talk about this for many months now, most of you who have been here for a while. And that is going to be, for shorter term timeframes, that's going to be kind of how things go, I believe, at the highs, because this is currently still in a compressive phase. If we do start seeing closures above the upper second, that would put Bitcoin above the all-time high. So it would automatically fulfill our expansion targets, right? So we would already be in an expansive mode above the all-time high, and many of the other lower term timeframes, lower than the 5-day, would already be in expansion phase. So this would also then kick off re-expansion back to the upside. I do think that we will find some significant resistance around some of those targets that I just called out, 75 to 80, 78, 75 to 78, and then 78 to 80 rather. We also need to see, of course, on the 5-day, like I said, 66,500 would turn this back to the upside right around the midline of the Stochh here. This would also, I believe, would this get some bullish divergence? No bullish divergence as it stands right now. In the context of some of this price action over here from November of 2023, we had again, like I said, if you're going to play any kind of patterns, if you're going to play head and shoulders patterns or inverted head and shoulders patterns, you can see that this one hit target pretty accurately from RSI. I don't play those patterns on regular price action. I typically will only look at them as being viable when you see them on RSI, usually because there's divergences that go along with them. And price typically isn't painting the same kind of inverted or regular head and shoulders patterns. Now, the weekly is another big one because the weekly is still in the bullish control zone of Stochh here. And we are looking at the potential for a lower low on Stochh. Of course, this would be a significantly higher low on the regular price. So we would get on regular price action rather. So we would get a momentum divergence. Now keep in mind that this is a regular Stochh. This is not a Stochh RSI. So this is measuring close over close price momentum, whereas Stochh RSI measures the velocity or speed of RSI. And when you already have an RSI, there's no need to have a velocity metric for it, in my opinion. Some people like it, so to each their own. I prefer to look at close over close momentum versus my RSI read up here because I don't need two of the same reads on or the two of the same kind of metrics just painted differently from different indicators. So that's one of the reasons why you see a regular RSI and a regular Stochh, not an RSI or regular RSI and a Stochh RSI. I don't need to see the velocity when I can just look at RSI. In this case, the upper first standard deviation on the weekly is hanging out at 68,500. Now, price is moving towards the upper first. This was previously at $68,000, so this will adjust a little bit. If price continues up towards it by the end of this week, you're likely to see the upper first around $69,000, which of course is the prior cycle all-time high. This on the weekly could very easily I knew I was going to end up coughing or have my voice break up. My apologies. On the weekly, Need to see closures above where? Well, the downtrend break for the daily, which is at 65.5. This would set a higher low on the weekly. Of course, we do have a bit of a swing downtrend here. On a closing basis, though, we've got the all-time high up here. This would just be another higher low, and then we'd be looking for a trend continuation back to the highs and higher. The upper second standard deviation is currently at $80,000. So there you go. Above the all-time high, 75 to 78. Above there, 78 to 80 as the big zones of interest. You can see that further up here, the upper third standard deviation is coming in around $90,000. And we'll pull some fibs and see where they kind of come in line with each other. We can even do local swing to swing and see how they line up, and then prior our swing high up here to previous swing low, because this was now a closing high, and then we've got the closing low down here. So it is valid to be pulling fibs from this particular area as well. And looking pretty good today. One of the big things that I do want to talk about here is something that I saw come up was it over the weekend? Yeah. No, it was Monday. And you saw a lot of people going, well, you saw all this wiki price action because of Coinbase going down. Coinbase didn't go down until this was done, by the way. So I saw a lot of this narrative being pushed around Crypto X, Crypto Twitter, if you will. And then, of course, I saw it on YouTube. And this was a lot of people talking about these big long wicks. It's a little bit clearer on the 15-minute how this price action was kind of getting really, crazy on Coinbase here. It was only happening on Coinbase Spot. Now, of course, after this was already done, Coinbase was like, oh, we're having technical issues. Well, here's the thing. There were no technical issues in and around here. And this was these particular wicks down, these really, really nasty wicks down, were likely participants, market makers, if you will, getting their fills. And you can see that Bitcoin kind of hung out in this area by this wick low, this really big wick low on the 15-minute from Monday. Came back down and tested it a few times, and then, of course, wick down below it, and then held those wicks prior to reversing trend on the 15-minute and then going into this uptrend. This right here looks like, and I'll show you on the volume-based chart here. You can see that big interest on Monday, and that was all coming in around this area, around $62,000. Of course, it dipped down below, and then you're seeing the volume bars come in on all of these wicks here. And then, of course, volume starts to subside because, bears can't push it down too much further. This was likely market makers pushing price down because there's, quite frankly, retail is not really here yet. And there probably was not enough selling pressure to push price down from retail. So you get market makers that need to push price down into their bid zones. So this is likely what you were seeing all through here. Of course, then they come out after all of this is done and say like, oh, we're having technical difficulties. We're going to be down for a little bit. And, everybody attributes this. Well, they must have been having technical difficulties here. And no, you wouldn't see this kind of volume. And remember, for every sell order, there is a buy on the other side. That's why you see the wicks. All right. So this is very clearly market making entities that were getting their fills on Coinbase. So we also can fully confirm that now with this structure that we're seeing going on here. Give me a second while I take a sip of water. And no, I'm not going to get into the GME, AMC stuff, but let me tell you something. The more, I will give you this anecdote from somebody who has a lot of experience with this. When you go and you buy and you hold that stock, you don't actually hold the stock. You don't take receipt of the stock. Yes, it sits in your account, but it's still rehypothecated and loaned against. Who do you think takes those loans? the same people that they're complaining about being on the short side. So you're actually giving them more liquidity. They can then trade with you right up to their right up to the sell zones. So anyway, um, for those that think they're getting over on the man, the nebulous man, whoever that is, they're actually just giving them more liquidity to rehypothecate everything. So, but it is a nice pump up on GME and AMC, and of course that's having a network effect across all of traditional markets. Traditional markets were also looking pretty damn good as long as they continued to push up, as we discussed in Monday's live stream. So that is something to note there as well. Perfect timing for Mr. Roaring Kitty to come back, huh? It was all on the charts already, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this looks very encouraging for the bulls here. Nice trending structure here on even the lower term timeframes, like the 15-minute. Nice higher low structure off the basis band after expansion. And then continue that expansion, and what you want to see, and you'll start to see it possibly slow down and compress if the upper first is lost here. We can see that 65, 200 or so needs to be breached to really start testing in and around that downtrend break there at 65.5, which is what you do want to see. Of course, by end of day would be great, leading into a Wednesday into Thursday reversal. Now, this is a change of character for Bitcoin as well. I believe it was Crown had pointed out on the daily that ever since this downtrend began, all Mondays had put in the highs. So we saw that it was Monday, April 20. This was Monday, April 8th for the high, and then you had the next high come in. Oops, sorry, the microphone's drifting away from me, or I'm drifting away from the microphone. Then Monday the 22nd. Then we saw Monday the 24th, and now Bitcoin is, of course, put in a high again on Monday, this past Monday the 13th. But we had previously seen that, Wednesdays into Thursdays, after those Mondays, we saw Wednesday also red. We saw Wednesday here. Wednesday was red here that confirmed that high. We did try to turn things around on Wednesday back here on the 10th, but Wednesdays were coming in red, and we're seeing a bit of a different look now. We saw Monday put in the local high in lower term timeframes. Tuesday come down. Wednesday shotgun right back to the upside, and now pushing the area that I just pointed out on the 15-minute. 15-minute is trending, and when it's trending and finding support at the upper first standard deviation, this is good for continuation of trend, possible re-expansion to the upside if it can get above that 65,400 area and go test that 65.5, 65,550 downtrending wick high that it needs to break. So this would be, credit to Crown for picking that out. I didn't even pay attention to it because I'm too focused on structure. But I'll point out a few different things here that were giving us clues leading into this, and that is, coming down into, I believe it was back here. It was last Thursday. I'd mentioned, Bitcoin right around that monthly there at 61,350, even if it dips in, has the potential for higher low structure. We wanted to see bullish divergence coming off of this low from the 17th into the 18th of April. Beautiful area. You want to see in range bullish divergence form rather than having to go down and retest the lows to get that bullish divergence, because breaking down below there, of course, leads us to that $53,000 to $50,000 area. Now, Bitcoin is still not out of the woods, so it still does need to close above this 65.5. As soon as it does that, pretty much green lighting most of these time frames that we just looked at, right? And in this case, very encouraging change of structure. Setting this, we're likely going to set this this low as a closing low. Of course, again, you want to see closures above around 63,500 or so by end of day today, and there's still quite a bit of time to go by end of day. But one of the things that I would pay attention to is traditional markets are going to be closing in about, well, we've got 5 hours. Let's go look. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, actually, not 5 hours. Oh yeah. Never mind. I'm thinking about Pacific Standard Time. So My apologies there. So we got about 2 hours to go. We would have, let me get the right crypto ticker chart here. We would have, oh, this is a chart I made for Loki over there in NBO, just because I wanted to point out where CME, kind of below this zone, we're heading down to this zone. And I had posted this before any of this price action had developed. Below the lower first, we're going to the lower second to test the lows. Below there, we're going lower to swing the lows at minimum down to 53. And then above here, we're going to go to the upper first. You see where that arrow is. And above this arrow, we're going to test this next lower high swing and close around this 66, 700, 66, 690 even. Nice. To around that 67, 300. Now this is CME, so this is going to look a little bit different by the upper second. Above there, we're looking to go and test somewhere around $70,000. You can see where I have that pointed out. Then above there, we're testing the highs and higher. And this is played out pretty damn well. So I know that that one was probably in a private chat, and I do apologize for not posting that one publicly, but it was just a quick chart that I mocked up because there was a gap down that we were looking at the time, and I was looking for a gap fill. Anywhere below the gap fill, I was looking for the lower first, and that's exactly what we got on CME. CME is going to paint a very, very nice picture by end of day today. So I do suspect actually Bitcoin CME is going to tell us everything we need to know. Daily will be shifted back to the upside on closes above $62,000. And of course, how that relates to spot price here. Oh God, it got all squished. Hold on. Let's go ahead and try to get this fixed real quick here. 62,550 is going to be the momentum pivot on the daily. Bitcoin looking very strong, looking for further tests up. And we even have, this is something I'll get into in the future. I have begun to get questions about it, but this indicator is a paid indicator because it has some extra bells and whistles. It's from app.chronetrading.net. I have no affiliation with them. I'm a big supporter of the developers over there, and I even use some of their developers' code in my free indicator that you can get, that being the BBWP, and even on this, I have some moving averages, and this is code that I asked the caretaker over there, great developer, if I could use, and he said absolutely, go ahead and use it. So you have in my indicator moving averages, Bollinger Bands, and more importantly, the crown jewel to all of this is volatility. I'm a volatility trader, so having BBWP metric down here is kind of what I was going for with that in conjunction with the Bollinger Bands. If you ever want on-chart BBWP, you can just get it for free from the indicators tab up here. Just search BBWP or Bollinger Band with percentile. You can see that this is still in a contraction phase, but this is going to very quickly begin an expansion phase above the upper second, of course. Where's that? That's right around 65.5. So that would be your trend break. And then we would start to see BBWP rise. So this is kind of the base for what I wanted to talk about today regarding Bitcoin. So I'm going to open this up to questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the various streams here. I would suggest if you want a higher quality stream, you head over to YouTube. The X, just the stream quality is not great there, even when I'm pushing a high bit rate. Might be good for other types of media, but for charts, it gets fuzzy. You can't see the numbers, stuff like that. So I do suggest if you want a better experience when watching this in live streams, that you do head on over to the YouTube channel. Look, I don't have any paid stuff. I don't do anything that is with any affiliated exchanges here on this account. None of that stuff. Everything that I do here is for free, and I really just want you to have the best viewing experience. So for live streams, I do suggest that you watch it on YouTube. Of course, follow me on X. You're more than welcome to watch on X, especially if you're just listening, but we do go pretty fast and rapid fire. So if you're not watching the chart, or if you can't see the chart, it can be a little difficult at times. Now, the other thing the other reason that I bring up heading on over to YouTube, if you are on the X stream, is a lot of people have reported that they're still having trouble with chat on X, and I can't do anything about that. I don't have any restrictions on it. I've tried to mess around with settings. There's nothing that's gating the chat there. It should be open to everyone, whether you have premium or not, whether you're following me or not, shouldn't even matter. I don't know why people cannot chat in there, but I know that there has been some difficulties there. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and get some background music to cover for me and some of the silence here as I go ahead and look in the chats and see what kind of questions are being asked. If you do have any, try to keep it related to Bitcoin for now, but you're more than welcome to ask general TA questions. And then we'll open this up for more general questions about other things, maybe even some altcoins or some runes. If you want to look at runes, let me know. As I do have a runes tab now, you might notice there's only 8 tickers in here, but we can always look at those in just a moment here. So let's go ahead and get some of the tunes back on. We're going to put this at about a 25. I just want it very, very low in the background here. So we'll fade this up. I'm at a different computer today, so I don't have my normal setup. You're going to hear me just pressing the right arrow to fade this up. So my apologies. We're going to bring that down a little bit. Don't want it overpowering the actual voice feed here. All right, let me go ahead and take a look in the various chats here. All right, so we've got Baba. Hello, Baba. We've got Bobby. We've got Sam chatting in here. And we have Earth Angel. So Earth Angel has a question. Can you please show us what Jason Casper, I don't know who Jason Casper is. We have Spin as well. Jason Casper was talking about the 2-month time frame. Thank you for your kindness. If you already did, oh, okay, because you arrived a little late. The 2-month time frame is a super bullish setup. So I don't know who Jason Casper is. So my apologies there. Not quite sure what they were saying about the 2-month time frame, but the 2-month time frame is very bullish. Although there is a 2-month nasty high candle here. This is your typical reversal style candle, but in the context of swinging the all-time high and being in a bull market with higher low structure on the monthly, it looks fine. I have no problems with it. Specifically, when looking at the 2-month, we can go ahead to the index chart because we got a little bit longer history here. But what I want to, excuse me, there, my voice is going to start cracking. From the 2-month time frame, any closes above the upper second at the end of this 2-month candle, which has 1 month and 16 days to go. We're looking at around $70,000. So there's your upside target that I've been talking about between, above 67 to 300. We're looking to around $68,000 to $70,000 as being some of the primary overhead resistance before going and retesting the highs. It might even only hold up in lower term timeframes. It really depends. We can take a look at open interest, but in this case, we're looking at it being above the prior cycle highs at $69,000. And the 2-month time frame is getting its expansion. So we're in an expansive phase. We saw a slight compression. Now we have not seen the deep compression that we've seen in prior cycles, but this is where I've talked about this ever since we began the double top in 2021. That this was a macro consolidation on the 2-month and likely to resolve right back to the highs, time period dependent, obviously, but, nice higher low swing structure. This was, lower low to higher low swing and then higher high swing. So at some point we would be looking for a higher low to begin to develop on the 2-month. But in this case, likely what Jason is looking at is that this is an expansive phase. So we can see that this is the first time in Bitcoin's history that we have seen a normalization of volatility. So Bitcoin's history started out very, very volatile, and this is true of just about every asset or indice that you're going to chart. It's going to start out with very high volatility, and then over time you get less and less volatile, and you get more, what I would call maybe quiet periods, or lower low areas of consolidation on your volatility metrics. This prior cycle low at $15,500 began to paint a normalization on the compression or the volatility metrics. So this is the first time in Bitcoin's history right here in 2024, where this began in November of 2023, moving into 2024 on the 2-month chart, where we saw a normalization in the volatility level, or the compression, if you will, or price compression. Price didn't really compress when looking at the 2-month Bollinger Bands, but in terms of price volatility normalization, we got to our first period of normalization on the 2-month chart, and this is super, super encouraging for longer term. Could volatility tick back up to the 70 read? It would not be out of the question to even, maybe because we've seen normalization in its low volatility period, that it might even go higher. It could also stop short, come back down, and then try for higher later. But what we're looking for is normalization to begin next on the 3-month. So what the 3-month or the quarterly is telling us is that volatility is just about ready to expand coming into the end of this monthly candle. I'm sorry, not it's going to close with the next 2 months, sorry. So the end of this month and then the end of the June candle. So March, April, May, June. Yeah, coming into July. So in this case, we've seen the first normalization in Bitcoin's history on the 2-month. Of course, we also saw this on the monthly as well. We've got normalization on the monthly. We're already pushing back above. This was expansion to the downside on the monthly, by the way. So this was expansion down to the lower second and below the lower first. So you saw for the first time in Bitcoin's history, get expansion to the downside instead of a cool down in volatility. So now we have seen that cool down occur again, and it's all occurring around the same areas, and we're seeing volatility increase past the initial volatility expansion to the downside. The cool down period happened when we got the mean reversion back to the basis and then get re-expansion back to the upside here. Looks very, very good. Now that we're seeing that normalization of volatility occur on the 2-month, it's super, super encouraging for the longer term timeframes. Very, very high prices expected over time. That also means that we might have what people might call the end in a bear market in between all of it, while Bitcoin still maintains higher low structure, becoming even more bullish on the longer term timeframes. So we could potentially see 100, 130, 150, get a top. Bitcoin come down and everybody's screaming bear market, and then it just goes sideways, makes a higher low on the 2-month, and then begins its trek to 200, 250, 300, 400, whatever it might be later on. And that would actually, in my opinion, would start to paint the picture of people probably saying that it would be a truncated bull cycle, but in reality, it's just a lengthening cycle over time, and it will continue to lengthen as Bitcoin starts to get its normalization of volatility on the quarterly and then subsequently the 6-month. What's really, really crazy is and I've mentioned this before, but if you are new here, this will likely be when the next 2-month and quarterly closes. This will be the first time in Bitcoin's history that it actually gets a volatility expansion over the moving average on the 6-month. So we're talking multiple years here of bulls taking over. I mean, Bitcoin, if you just now encountering me and my technical analysis, I'll give you my thoughts on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to black hole the entire fiat system and become the base layer of energy output of societies overall. A lot of Bitcoiners and Bitcoin maxis think that Bitcoin's going to become money. I have a very different view. You may not agree, and that's okay. I actually believe that Bitcoin will continue to be paired against some sort of funny money, if you will. Maybe not even fiat. Maybe it's CBDC based or something like that. Who knows? Who cares? But I think it's much bigger than that. I think Bitcoin is much bigger than just becoming money. I think that Bitcoin is going to become the base layer of energy output of our societies, and that you will see Bitcoin mining continue to make its way into pleb hands. You've got the guys over at BitAxe are just on a freaking tear, man. They just released their super boards. Those things are pushing like 700 gigahash. Some people are tweaking them to get like 1 terahash out of them. Well, that's insane for one ASIC chip. That's insane. It's awesome. It's really cool. But you're going to start seeing more and more people heating their homes with Bitcoin miners. You're going to start seeing that because of the energy offset and the increase. I mean, we might see energy costs come down depending on what happens during the elections, but you know, if it continues to ratchet up over time anyway, and even if energy costs do come down, well, you know, a lot of these energy companies are going to be offsetting by mining Bitcoin, and you're going to start seeing it infiltrate the energy sector in this manner. And you're going to see this also, all of the existing ESG infrastructure is also going to encourage that as well, because they need those, you know, those carbon credits. Even if the United States, say there's a change in leadership here in the United States, whether that's, you know, the Senate, House, and presidential offices, really doesn't matter, because the rest of the world is still stuck on ESG stuff. And that's not going to end anytime, I think, before the end of the decade. So you're going to see that a lot of companies internationally are going to try to offset those carbon credit stuff and all this kind of stuff. It's probably going to be an ugly fight, especially if there is a different administration, which, you know, it doesn't matter which side you're on. Just from the Bitcoin side of things, it's encouraging either way, because to get those credits, you can, if you're going to offset, you're going to do it with something like Bitcoin, because it gives you something back. Right. And that's going to further decentralize the network. I know that there's a lot of concern over centralization of the network right now, and that is valid concern. But this is also creating a new era, because people are aware of this. You get the Apollo miners, you've got the nerd miners, you've got the BitAxes, you've got people starting to, you know, that own homes, and you know, that are starting to mine Bitcoin. You've got cities that are setting up Bitcoin miners to mine Bitcoin directly. And you've got corporations beginning to take on the ETF shares. You're going to see corporate treasury starting to load up on those. One of the reasons why you're going to see it, why would they prefer to hold ETF shares versus Bitcoin? Because you can very easily borrow against your shares. Whereas it's a little bit more difficult until we see some more layer 2 stuff being built to borrow against your Bitcoin. But you're going to see more and more of that kind of stuff coming up as well. And when Bitcoin maxis say that we're early still, they don't know how right they are. They really don't. And you know, I can be accused of being a maxi for Bitcoin, as I do often crap on shitcoins a lot. But I also own a lot of shitcoins, so you know, I'm not necessarily, I don't necessarily follow through with that rhetoric. I also own and trade altcoins all the time. I even trade the ultimate shitcoins, stocks, and stock options. So, all right, that was a little off subject. My apologies, but it was a good lead in. The 2-month is something to be aware of. It's very, very bullish. Especially when looking at something like momentum. 28,500 is a momentum pivot. We're seeing confirmed expansion above the upper first standard deviation, more aggressive expansion above $70,000, and you're going to see this thing start to push the highs and higher. Upper thirds around $85,000. So we typically see the upper third closed above, as you can see throughout Bitcoin's history when looking at the chart here. Throw this on log. I don't know why it wasn't on log scale before, but you know, Bitcoin typically trends outside of the bands here, you know, all of 2016 into 2017, pushing that upper third. and closing above it, indicating that it's a very strong trend. And then using, by the way, the upper first as a basing area. So when looking at the 2-month, what you can derive from this is that in the last cycle, we pushed above the upper third, tried to use the upper first as a basing area, but then had a change of character with that double top and then back down for another reaccumulation and then back up. We're in a much wider structure than any of the cycle theory guys think we're in. They have no clue. They keep trying to paint traditional market cycle theory onto Bitcoin, which is its own clock, its own cycle. And it's going to continue to hoover up and black hole fiat forevermore. So if you aren't bullish on Bitcoin right now, then you're probably not going to make it. Just a warning. Because when looking at the 2-month, we haven't even kicked off expansion yet above the upper second standard deviation. And if this is going to go parabolic, we're likely going to see a nasty, nasty sell-off at the highs. Everyone's going to call it over. Bear market start. It's going to be over for forever and ever and ever. You're going to hear 12K calls again, even though it's probably going to bottom out around its cost basis, which is probably going to be around $60,000 to $70,000. And you're going to then see it put in higher lows on the 2-month on a closing basis. We haven't even seen a closing high yet. This is just a swing high and sideways price action. But what you're likely going to see is a higher low in the 2-month, and then the thing rockets right back up when nobody expects it. So if you are following with me here, all of the TA that I do, you'll be ready for it. We were ready for the double top. We were ready for the bottoms at $15,500. My TA group and I pretty much been near perfect on all of the more macro stuff and even some of the more lower term time frame stuff. Now, that's not to say that other people aren't going to be right or that I'll be right all the time, but it's not difficult to see what's happening. You just got to get rid of bias and read the chart, and then you're going to get it right 99.9% of the time. Now, getting that right for trading, completely different scenario. You need to have a risk management plan in place or practice good RM, and then, develop a plan for trading the areas of interest that you identify, and then you'll be a very winning trader. All right, so Bobby asks if I can look at ETH BTC. You averaged your entry down. Ooh, boy, you're probably seeing expansion to the downside. Hold on one second. Spin says he's got to bounce. Take care, Spin. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Yeah. So we can take a look at ETH BTC. It's probably getting absolutely destroyed right now because Bitcoin is moving up very aggressively in today's price action. But let's go ahead and take a look at Binance, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And oh, hey, it's at the 618. Oh, no. Oh, no, Bobby. You need a lower term time frame bounce. Now, to be fair, it is got a little bit more. 0.045 is like this is not a good daily structure. This is a tap on the lower second, so maybe a bounce here. But anywhere below here, it's going to continue down to 0.45 even or so. Let's look at the weekly. Oh yeah, right at the 618. It's already digging into that high. Where's the close open? 0.43. No, 0.43 to 0.44 on the weekly high here is the next big swing. Then it's if it continues down, it's likely gonna get down to around 0.04 or 0.037 area by this 50% of the more macro fib here. This does not look great. Let's look at the 2-day. Oh, that's expansion on the 2-day. Maybe no, maybe don't look at the 2-day. Oh God, it's expansion on the 3-day if it closes here. 4-day, there is a bit of a bounce area at around 0.04488. looking at compression, but if it closes below there, we're looking at expansion. 5-day, of course, right around there, 0.44, 0.044. Weekly is in that same area, 0.0447. So you're looking for low-term time frame bounce and get the hell out. Maybe the 15-minute will provide some relief here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce. It's now got a break above 04622. Excuse me. To really, to start changing that, and that's the upper second. So you need to see this getting back above the 618 here at 0.461. It's not looking great. I can tell you that. I mean, you're probably seeing a lot of bullish divergence pop off, but bullish divergence is popping off because it's making lower lows. 15 minutes got a slew of bullish divergence on the lower term time frames. Even like the 30-minute, I believe. This is an aggressive expansion. So you are looking for some mean reversion here. Where would the bullish control zone be? That'd be at 0467 on the 30-minute. The hourly, you're looking at this thing could possibly try to pick itself up off the floor, but it actually killed its possibilities for bullish divergence on the hourly. So realistically, you're looking for at least mean reversion back to somewhere around 046, 0465. The breakdown structure, maybe test a little bit higher to the actual breakdown at 0467. From the hourly perspective, you don't want to see the upper first getting too far below there because that's really going to be incredibly bearish. If it did bounce all the way back up to the upper first here, rather, then you're looking at it being a little bit better. But, you know, hey, to be fair, the next hourly, it could throw a RSI signal that it's going to go test where it's rejecting this 618 at minimum at 0461. But that's also lower first is sitting right around there. Let's go look at the 4-hour. Let's see if there's any hope. Oh, God. Bitcoin's killing you right now, bro. This is a breakdown, dude. Yeah, this is a breakdown, maybe a relief bounce. That's what you're hoping for right now, my friend. I mean, 0458, 0456 is really where the 4-hour might turn. We're looking at no bullish divergence here. Is it getting into a bouncy area? Probably. What about the 6-hour? Is there any hope? Nope. No bullish divergence there. Trending and just closing below. This is re-expansion down below the lower second. Sorry, drifting away from the microphone there for a second to get rid of my nicotine pouch. Yes, I have stopped trying to vape. So nicotine pouches it is. 8-hour, any hope here? Absolutely not. I already know this. Yeah, this is expansion on the 8-hour. Let's look at the 12-hour. Any hope? Nope. Expansion on the 12. Oh my God. ETH. I mean, we were looking. I'm short this, so I mean, I'm happy. I'm sorry if you were trying to get some BTC off this. 046 is going to be the pivot to turn it, and it's close. I mean, it's right on top. I mean, if I throw the on-chart version of that indicator on, you'll see that it's like you can't even discern where the stoke is because price is basically right on top of it here. Here, let's bring it forward. Visual order. I'm going to try to give you some hopium, but I mean, it's all your hopium is just that hopium. The lower second sitting right on the macro 618. Daily, same thing. you're looking for this to try and bounce here at the lower second. That's really what you're looking for. And could it? It might be getting ready to above 046 again. Coming into tomorrow, could it try? Yeah. What you need to see is a nice aggressive move on ETH USD as it relates to Bitcoin versus USD. Of course, that means that Bitcoin ETH BTC is starting to get its rally. Likely a very, very, very bearish rally. I mean, this thing could literally melt faces to 0.5 BTC and do absolutely nothing for itself here. I mean, this is just ugly. And it's one of those scenarios where it's very much a I told you so, but I don't want to say that because that's kind of elitist and stupid and asshole-ish of me. But I told you so. So this was honestly, we knew this was going to happen. I do think that there is some relief across the board, but probably versus USD only. And then you're going to have to come back later for much bigger bounces than this. And you're going to have to wait for a structure to start to develop on those lower term timeframes. Is there the potential here? Yeah, but you're basically having to build a big old swing position in this in order to take advantage of that if you've been averaging in around that 618. So, sorry to point that out. Sorry to give you the bad news. You're probably looking at bearish bounces coming in pretty soon though, but you need to see above 046. Maybe retest all the way up to I mean, shit. Like I said, it can retest all the way to 047. 0.05 Bitcoin. It's not going to do shit for overall structure until it's breaking above there. You can see even in the daily bull, the 15-minute like bull critical zone, it's not even getting close. To be fair, no, actually, there is no to be fair here. You need to see this bounce soon. Daily's going to avoid even any kind of a bull div if it pushes down any further. So I would get out at your entry and just reevaluate, wait for the setup later. You know, when Bitcoin's ripping, it's going to melt faces and leave everything else behind in terms of its BTC pairs. And this is not abnormal. You're seeing it across ADA. You're seeing it in all of the different BTC pairs. So Atom as well. And, they're doing quite well, for them. I mean, we're seeing a little pop up on the lows for USD, but, this is Bitcoin's market right now. This is not altcoin market. You see this Bitcoin dominance breakout back to the upside. Remember, we were looking for somewhere around 56 initially. We're almost there, 56.33, and then 57 to 58%, which of course means that altcoins are not going to do well versus their Bitcoin pairing. Likely going to be just fine. By the way, this is expansion on the daily for Bitcoin dominance. So, and you do have, let me look. You've got an ugly as shit inverted head and shoulders, but it's likely to hit target. It's almost there, which is basically going to be right back to the highs here. It's already almost completed it because it is a slanted inverted head and shoulders, which you don't hear from me often, but it's on RSI as well, so it's worth calling out. All right, so runes. Who wants to look at runes? Let's look at runes. We've got dog. Dog is, it swung its low over here. We got to go low term time frames with runes. It did get a deviation below this higher volume low. Let's go ahead and throw on volume here. Actually, no, I mean, this thing is below 0.0023. That was its higher volume area outside of the high here. So we actually should mark that because that's likely going to be a relevant area of resistance. And it did swing it today and then pull back from it as well. The entire candle should be taken into account here. So let's go to the 15-minute because it is relevant for, lower, brand new listings. We can take the whole candle and say that this is, your bearish supply zone to the top side here. And you can see how it has dipped into that area. Now it is looking a little bit bull flaggy here if it can hold the lower second below 0.002 or so, around there, which is the highs of this consolidation prior to this deviation down below the prior lows. We did get a nice 15-minute buy up here. So we do have a zone of interest down between this higher volume candle and the low. And then we can highlight this entire candle as being some demand just down below the lows if it gets back there. So we did have some buying going on there. Helped to did swing down below it, to be fair, but kind of getting back up above there. That was down at 0.001863 Bitcoin. So it is Bitcoin, USD, not Bitcoin. If that was Bitcoin, holy shit, it really has mooned. But this is what you want to see. It needs to recover above about 0.0027, 0.0028 cents, and then it's likely looking for, looking for not only setting a low but trying for its lower high up here at some point around that 0.03 to 0.003369, no less. All right, so there's a dog go to the moon. We've got Epic, which has been straight down, which is a shame. There is outsized supply hanging overhead, but there was a lot of people that paid a lot of money to mint that. I waited till sats were lower and mint was still going, so I paid like next to nothing to mint. This is the Blob guys. They have the Epic Sat, and they used that to inscribe the ticker like inscription for Epic, and it's pretty freaking epic. So it's kind of a shame to see this absolutely dumping to shit, but not unexpected. I mean, as people are trying to fight for liquidity, probably locked in their wallets, they want to go buy more ordinals, or they want to go buy other runes that are starting to rip and chase the narratives, and or they're in trades on exchanges and they were nearly getting liquidated or something on the higher low, so they start exiting big time. We've got Ord's Games, which is Game of Bitcoin, which is actually in a nice sideways consolidation here on the daily. If we go down to the hourly, do want to see this hold this zone here around 38.5 cents on the lows. If it does start to lose that, obviously we're looking lower. So downside risk is anywhere below these lows here. It could swing down below there, as long as it's recovering back above. It's looking okay, and that's 38.26 cents. It needs to break above 50 cents again, which is, to be fair, a very, very big move. We're looking at even this move down was I mean, this was very aggressive. When you look at, percentage wise, this was a 21% move. So, big range here. We're looking at between the last really big lower high and the actual lows, about 25%. Need to see it above about 50 cents, 51 cents on a close for the hourly to really start pushing above. Same deal for the 4 hours, last lower high. And on a close, yeah, you need to see around 38, 38.26 cents. Holding it up. Got Lobo. This is a dog coin as well. Nice massive downtrend with lower lows and lower highs. To be fair, it did swing down, but you're seeing volume absolutely die. You know, we need to see it now hold above 0.0054 cents, and it needs to take out that high at 0.0074 cents. If it can do that, you start getting, you know, you got a little bit of a range, a deviation of that range, and then you have a structure change, and then we can start targeting around 0.0009 cents. And above there, you're looking for it to make a nice turnaround. Risic, or Rune Coin, if you will. This is ugly as shit, but regaining some of the higher volume that came in on this wick with lower volume is actually okay. So you do have 1 point of one win in this, I should say. And that would be, you know, if this comes back down to the lower first, loses the wick low, it's going to swing the lows and possibly lower by the lower second, where the current low is coming in at around 0.0534 cents. And the area to look out for is if it starts to trade anywhere back below 0.06 cents. If it does trade back below there, going to run that, possibly lower if it gets re-expansion down. But if it can recover above its current wick high, it can recover and then subsequently recover this bear to bull candle low, which is around the upper second standard deviation. Then I'd be looking for it to run that 0.009 cents. And this is coming in, so the bias breaker here would be around 0.082 cents. Then I'd be looking to 0.009 cents, possibly a penny again. If it can regain a penny, then we can start entertaining it going to, you know, 1.05, 1.10 cents up here, or 1.1 cents, and so on and so forth. That would be a very big move. Just for some context, this drawdown, just for context, this drawdown has been about a 40% drawdown with a with a nice 40%, 42% move back up, but you know, it doesn't do much right now. There is more encouraging things on the 4 hour than not to at least try to change things around. This has been a pretty consistent downtrend outside of this trend break, but then immediate downtrend. We didn't see like higher lows continue. This is the first time we've seen a higher low structure continue on the hourly, and it's getting some expansion, but now it's got to get above this nasty wick high on the hourly. Can it do it? It's got room. No real bearish divergence on the other side just yet. There is some higher term time frame bearish divergence that can form off of the just below a penny high there, and I would be very, very careful with this one. It needs to go into a reaccumulation. This has just been straight down, so you need to see some reaccumulation, some, you know, uptrending structure that then even begins some downtrending structure that holds the lows and just start to reaccumulate. It's a very, very new coin, so you know it's not abnormal to see what we're seeing. Satoshi absolutely bombed out to around 60 cents. Made its way back up to $1.33. Wow, what a nice move back up to bearish retest. Didn't even get its bearish retest. Holy shit. Ugly. Glad I shorted the shit out of this when I hit gate. Yeah, this is ugly. It's call me when it's back above $1.68. Ping me when it's back above $1.68. Otherwise, this thing isn't even in a reaccumulation. This is just a downwards trend. Looks like absolute shit. Uncommon goods, same thing. Obviously, this supply is going to ever increase. Now, here's a nice chart. Wanko Manko. We can see a big range, but this is a good area to look for reaccumulation. We can see that we have from wick to wick, we've got a massive drawdown, obviously, of 65%. Nice bounce back up, obviously, after, its massive rundown as all liquidity is hitting the market. But as long as it's above about 10 cents, looking okay. Need to see it breaking up above about 19 to 20 cents to go test around 29 to 30 cents. Any closures above 30 cents is going to be fairly bullish to go and retest, much further up, about 35 cents initially. Gets above there, it's pretty quick to 45 to 50 cents. Above there, you're looking at 55 to where it opened at around 69. Nice. All the memes. This is a violent rejection off the lower term time frames. And looking at the 4 hour, all you got to do is go look at this sell-off on the 15-minute. You can see that the desire to get out around these highs was intense, let's say. So there's some rune coins for you. And as more come on to exchanges, I don't know if there's like a good aggregator for listings of runes, but if you guys have one or know of one, go ahead and let me know. Ping me on X or message me on X or one of the Discords. That would be great. Other than that, I think Bitcoin looking very good here on the 15-minute. Nice test up to around just shy of 65,450. So Bitcoin's looking like it wants to continue. It's probably getting pretty hot to trot up here. Looking to throw another bear dip, even if it pushes the 65.5. Hourly still looks good for the moment, and no in-trend bearish divergence. So this new uptrend, there is no bearish divergence just yet, so likely going to see continuation. Do be aware that yeah, it's looking good. 4 hours probably looking pretty damn good too. Let's go ahead and look. And yep, 4 hours got plenty of room. And look at that, higher lows on our Stochastic momentum indicator here, and a rejection of the bearish control zone there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 6 hours going to be doing the same thing, I suspect, just from a higher level if this ever loads. Oh no, it was a rejection of the bullish control zone. Nice midline hold, and then back up to project into the bullish control zone. And again, looking very good. You can actually draw a bearish trend line between these. On trend lines actually do tend to work for continuation and breakdowns and stuff like that when looking at regular Stoch. They are valid to use on a regular Stoch. Beautiful expansion, looking for continuation of that aggressive expansion on the 4 hours, as long as Bitcoin's trading above 64,550 right now. So about $1,000 range to the downside, and it will continue its expansion to the upside on the 6 hour, rather, not the 4 hour. 4 hours looking pretty damn good, fairly close. More aggressive expansion is going to continue as long as it's above 64,520. So the look on the hourly needs to build hourly bearish divergence in trend for it to even really start to slow down some of these medium-term timeframes below the daily. Of course, our 12 hour is indicating expansion on any closures above 64,770, which of course, in the context of all the bullish divergence from in range, inverted head and shoulders look playing out right now. We've got Stoch well and elevated to the upside above 700 rather. Looks great. If it can close anywhere end of day today above basically 64 to 64,500, looking very, very good. For expansion on the 12 hour, it's going to lead into the daily, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, hopefully the 5 day as well. So this is it, bulls. Come on, sure, get off the pot, break the downtrend. Yeah, looks good. Still low volume. What do we got for metrics today? Core inflation came in at forecast. Go figure. They can fluff those numbers however they want. What did they knock off this time? They knocked off coffee. They're not measuring coffee inflation anymore. So inflation year over year came in on target. They're calling this a victory. Inflation's coming down, guys. Look, it was 3.8, now it's 3.6. We just happened to fluff the numbers a little bit because we took a whole bunch of other shit that we would normally measure for inflation off of the chart. And call it inflation killed, man. We got it. It's under control. Don't worry about it. Such bullshit. Yeah, core inflation came in on target, and it's lower, guys. It's lower, guys and gals. Look at that. Oh, forecast inflation rate month over month. The forecast was 0.04 or 0.4. It's 0.3. We're winning. Man, wait for the media tour. Oh, man. The Biden administration and Powell and everybody's going to be out there like, we got this under control. No worries. The economy's doing great. What do you mean you can't afford a home or buy food? Don't worry about it. The economy's doing great. Didn't you see the inflation numbers? Such bullshit. Such bullshit. If you aren't wise to the grift, you will be the longer you stay here and hang out with me. So, and I do appreciate everyone who is hanging out right now. We got quite a few people in the stream. If you did arrive late, I did a whole bunch of analysis on Bitcoin starting at the very beginning of the stream. Yes, the pre-stream is about 15 minutes long with music and starting soon stuff. So skip ahead about 15 minutes and you can get the full analysis. Again, I want to reiterate this. If you want the best watching experience for clarity on the charts or of the charts and the stream, I do suggest that you watch it on YouTube. As soon as I end this stream, it will be saved on X, so you can go back and rewatch it there, and you can rewatch it on YouTube. Thing is, X is going to be the same quality that they're pushing out for the stream. YouTube's going to have much higher quality, and you'll be able to actually read the charts and the right side here where you see all of the levels and stuff for the price points. And yeah, I think unless anybody's got any questions, that's probably going to do it for today. Maybe I'll just give it a minute here and see if anybody does have any questions or comments or concerns. Anything you want to point out to me, go ahead and do so right now. This is your chance. And while I wait for everyone to catch up and see if anybody's got any questions, take a little sip of water here. Ah, yes, announcement time. Announcements. Bobby says ETH BTC put in a low on the 15-minute. So it confirmed a low. Now, if only it could start to change a little bit of its trend. It's almost like moving to proof of stake was a mistake. Huh, weird how that works. It's almost like having a figurehead for your coin and not a decentralized anonymous development crew and an anonymous creator who doesn't look for fame and fortune is maybe having these figures and these centralized coins and centralized players in the game. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe moving to proof of stake is a bad thing. Now, proof of stake on a proof of work network is very different. Usually that's going to be on a layer 2. Earth Angel, I have to ask, are you Goddess in Discord? I have the feeling that that's... I'm just looking here. I'm just curious. Oh dear. What did I do? Why does it truncate names on Discord now? What the hell is... Why is this even a thing? That pisses me off. Because I can't read full names on Discord anymore. Only certain people's names. And then, like, it truncates your names sometimes. And other times it doesn't. So now I can't even read the name. No. Are you in one of the Discord groups, Earth Angel? Or are you, or did you come here from the TA side of things originally? Just curious. By the way, I'm thrilled to have everyone here. We're going to be doing a lot more of this, and let me get a few announcements out of the way before I jump off here. So there are going to be some events coming up for the MBO server, and I get in touch with the team. Obviously, I'm a team member over at New Bitcoin Order, and one of the great Bitcoin collections, art collections on Magic Eden over there, and you can find it in various other places. We've got Nat Monkeys always showing out in force. We've got, of course, Pepe Ordinal's Maxi, which I'm going to announce something here in just a moment. And then, of course, Sigma Crew, always rolling hard. Great projects, all of them. Cool, exciting stuff coming up. Yes, I own the ordinals in each one of those projects, so full disclosure. But they're great projects. I don't go for the pump and dump teams or any of that kind of shit. So these are developers that are active and creating a community and creating really cool stuff on Bitcoin and layer 2. Now, for those of you that are here from Pepe Ordinal's Maxi, you may have read the announcement, or maybe you didn't yet, but there is a big announcement. So if you head over to the announcements page, you will see, or announcements text channel, you'll see that Angeliki has made an announcement where I will be hosting an event every Thursday at about 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, about 10:30 a.m. my time, on Thursdays in the voice chat. Now, I'm gonna talk with Bello and her and the team there about creating an event for that, so that people from other servers can join. That's going to be a voice chat with me. It's going to be all of us in the voice chat, looking at charts and doing technical analysis. Great place for you to jump in and ask questions. Have me look at specific things that you might be interested in, whether it's runes or altcoins or Bitcoin. And of course, learn about technical analysis and how it's performed. And yeah, it's going to be fun. And then we are going to expand from there. As I just gave some preliminary time slots. I'm going to get in touch with Loki and the team over at New Bitcoin Order. We're going to be doing much the same in the voice chats there. Start getting some stuff rolling. And of course, creating an event for that so that people from other servers can join. And as different communities, we can all come together, hang out, have fun, and collaborate over some TA stuff. And there might be some other cool stuff that comes of that. So I did want to announce that, get that out of the way. And you might be thinking, well, Landy, why don't you do something in your own server? My own server is just me and a bunch of degenerate friends. And we do hang out there. You're more than welcome to join the server, but we're all over the place, and often in private chats talking with each other about just random shit that has nothing to do with technical analysis. It is a hub for all of the different streams. So if you want me to ping you, you get pinged there. But if you're in one of the other communities, New Bitcoin Order, Nat Monkeys, Palm, or Pepe Ordinal's Maxi, or Sigma X, you will likely see me posting when I'm going live and stuff anyway. And if any of you are here from Sigma and you would like to collaborate in much the same manner that New Bitcoin Order and Palm are doing for some community collaboration, some voice chat stuff on Discord directly, hit me up. I'm open to it. I would like to start facilitating all these different communities coming together. Most of us idle in all of the same servers anyway. So many of you are in Pepe Ordinals Maxi or New Bitcoin Order or Nat Monkeys. We're all in those same communities in general. So it'd be great to get everybody all in one place in a voice chat, just hanging out, shooting the shit, talking about TA, mining as well. If you're getting into mining or already in mining, that's another subject that I can be helpful with. Bobby says, bad marketing for your own Discord, but I can confirm. Bobby is one of the moderators from my personal Discord. Look, my Discord was never meant to be a place outside of friends, but it is open and anyone can join and become friends with us if you'd like. But you're probably just going to see a lot of memes and a lot of like bullshit that has nothing to do with technical analysis. So just be aware. Yeah. Bitcoin pushing 65.5. I'm sure ETH BTC must be doing amazing right now, right, Bobby? Sorry, dude. You had an idea. You had the right idea for the local zone, but invalidation was quickly hit thereafter. And if you're patient enough, you'll probably be the beneficiary of at least a decent trade or some mean reversion. So just depends on how much pain you can handle. Are you a glutton for punishment or not? Let's look at mempool real quick here. Beautiful. Not filling blocks. We see that we're not getting, we had the previous difficulty adjustment down. We're not getting too much more on top of that. We see open interest flying right now as Bitcoin makes its way up. Nice open interest divergence, by the way. We had higher lows come in and lower lows on open interest, and then a rocket ship. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nice breakup structure here. And you had the inverted Bart Simpson to the throwback to the head. Bart's head testing the top side, and then boom. Or the inverted Batman, if you like. Inverted Batman is an old pattern that we used to joke about. So looks good. Hey, guess what? I like Bitcoin, and I'm loving the trade that I'm in. So I hope you are in a good trade as well. And for everyone here, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. Please stay safe above all. That's really what matters, so that you can, of course, trade safe. And yeah, with all of that said, Landy out. Take care of yourselves.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
CBR Street Gang, this is all by